Boss Lady Conversations with Monica L.
and Coach Kaya.
Boss ladies are
Vulnerable,
authentic,
love,
hopeful,
abundant.
respected.
Boss ladies are
You.
This Boss Lady Conversations episode contains material that details personal domestic violence experiences and might be difficult to hear or discuss. Please use your discretion. The purpose of this episode is to raise awareness and provide support for those in need. If you or someone you know is in danger or struggling to better understand what a healthy relationship is, please contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE or text START START to 88788.
Welcome back, Boss Lady listeners. I am Monica L., a boss lady, Cleveland-born, LA raised, on a journey of freedom and happiness as an educator, entrepreneur, self-published author, and poet. I believe all things are possible through synergy. My IG handle is at MonicaL_writer.
Hey, boss ladies. I'm your girl, Coach Kaya. I'm a boss wife, mompreneur, sister, writer, and certified transformational coach. I help dreamers access their power by healing the trauma of their past, reigniting their dreams, and manifesting the miracles that truly matter today. My IG handle is at I am Coach Kaya.
Woo! This is season 2, and Coach Kaya and I just want to shout out everyone, those who are listening to us, those who follow us on social media, our YouTube channel. We are just so thankful. We are thankful for everyone's support. We're thankful for everyone's feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it's just an amazing. I mean, I'm just speechless. And that's a lot for me because I always got something to say, but it's really our passion project. And we hope that comes through. We hope you feel our energy. We're just elated, to have domestic and international followers.
Yeah.
Our audience is growing every week. Our shows come out weekly. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel, Boss Lady Conversations Podcast. And just thank you for being you. This was built out of a necessity during a global pandemic that we're still in. And we hope that this has been a space for you to really get a sense of light and to know you're not alone.
Monica, that was so beautiful. We always talk about this. We really want people to enjoy the BLC experience and enjoy bossing up with us because as we're evolving, we know that you're evolving too, and we're in this together. Life can throw so many curveballs, and it's very important that we find a way to embrace change and continue to boss up in the midst of change. So if we want you to continue to tell us what you think of season 2 so far, what you would love to see more of as we prepare for season 3. Yes, we never stop working. Email us at bossladyconversations@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, or you can DM us on Instagram at boss_lady_conversation.
Yes, we work. We work. And Coach Kaya is always accepting new clients for her coaching business. And just so many amazing things that are coming up this season. We're just grateful and know that our mission has always been to give you a brave space where you can come, be authentic. We show up our authentic selves. And most importantly, for you to boss up and really go after what matters in your life as you define it, not as anyone else defines it, not as society defines it, not as your significant other defines it, not as your family defines it. So just being your authentic self.
I love that. And speaking of being your authentic self, we want to help you to tune in to who you really are and continue to celebrate not only who you are today, who you're becoming, as well as who you always wanted to be when you were a little boss lady, okay? So we would love for you to purchase our journal. It's called the Boss Lady Manifesto Journal, commitments designed to keep you and the little queen inside bossed up. It's currently available on Amazon, and we're going to do some giveaways and have some interactions with the BLC family to just celebrate the journal. And we really want to know how it's working for you. Are you using the prompts? Are there some that you love that are really working for you every day? This is going to be a wonderful experience that we're taking on with you. So we'll be writing in our journals and practicing the prompts, and let's see how we continue to grow together and what the Boss Lady Conversations Journal does for your everyday life as well as your future goals.
Yes, Coach Kaya. And as I said before, this has really been Heart's project. It's a passion, Coach Kaya and I, for the listeners who've been with us since season 1, know that we believe in affirmations. We know how powerful the word is. We know how powerful just believing in yourself. And so all of that was poured into this work. And so we are excited. I feel like we should have some milestones where we can go back and reflect like, okay, we're at the 6-month part, like, where are you at now? How much have you accomplished?
Right.
It's really that inner peace and also your wellness, so we're really speaking positivity. And we believe that when you speak it, you live it, and then you see the reflections. And more importantly, people around you feel it. And so this is something that I'm really excited about. And I'm also excited because this is Coach Kai and I official first baby that someone is tangible that you can actually take with you and love on. So this is
I'm glad you said that, Monica L, because we have a lot of babies that just were, they're still at home, they're still in the incubator, but this one is out there in the world.
Yes. She has a bow on her and she is out there for you to pick up and purchase. So yes, and yes. Thank you, Coach Kaya.
Yeah. Another thing I love about the journal is the way we incorporate our Boss Lady Conversations guests from seasons 1 and some of season 2 into the journal. So in the back of the journal, you'll be able to choose which episodes you would like to listen to if you haven't listened to them already, or re-listen to, and you can take notes on some of the gems that you catch and that resonate with you. So we really incorporate every aspect of the Boss Lady Conversations movement into this journal, okay? And there will be more to come, but this one is ready and available to you now.
So let's get into today's episode.
Yes. So today's topic is overcoming unhealthy relationships with Boss Lady author Imani Hood-McDonald. This is definitely a sensitive topic that impacts all communities. And just to give you a little bit of context, the Institute of Women's Policy Research shows that around 31% of all women will experience domestic violence. For Black women, that statistic is more than 40%. And so that's why this topic is so timely. We want to make sure that we are spreading the word and providing information. And this amazing boss lady is here to really share her journey and also provide some support for those that may be struggling today. According to the U.S. Department of Justice and womenslaw.org, domestic violence is a pattern of abusive behavior in any relationship that is used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another intimate partner. Domestic violence can be physical, sexual, emotional, economic, psychological, or include technological actions or threats of actions, or other patterns of coercive behavior that influence another person within an intimate partner relationship. This includes behaviors that intimidate, manipulate, humiliate, isolate, frighten, terrorize, coerce, threaten, blame, hurt, injure, or wound someone. And we want to be really clear about that definition because sometimes people have this perception of what domestic violence is, and it really crosses so many other boundaries as well. Our special boss lady guest, Imani Hood-McDonald, is a native of Los Angeles, California. She's a boss wife, mother of 3, and a behavioral interventionist whose life epitomizes boldness, strength, and perseverance in the face of life's adversities and struggles. Imani states that she has a strong desire to provide the best care for her clients so that they can continue to grow, embrace their independence, and live their best lives. In addition, she is a powerful woman of faith who has transformed lives by sharing her journey in her book, Overcoming My Testimony, the process I chose to go through. This book chronicles Imani's survival of domestic abuse, and it also provides practical and spiritual advice for others. So without further ado, we would like to welcome Boss Lady Imani Hood-McDonald to the Boss Lady Conversations table.
Hi,
Hi,
Imani.
Hi, everybody.
We
Hi,
are
Imani.
so happy to have you here with us.
Oh,
my
thank you.
gosh.
Thank you.
Thank
We really
you.
are.
Thank you for your, just being amazing and for sharing your story. Yes.
Thank you.
So, Imani, your book details key points in your life experience in such an authentic and captivating way. Can you tell us more about the testimony you're referring to in your title and why you decided to tell your story?
So the testimony is basically me overcoming domestic violence and all the trauma that it left behind, right? So I went through the changes of domestic violence, but it left a lot of trauma afterwards. So this book is to highlight my healing process, my journey of overcoming the trauma and the effects that the domestic violence had on me and my children. What started this story was I got remarried, and in that marriage, I encountered some of the trauma. It kind of came up. I call them triggers, right? So the triggers came up, and I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on because I was so upset. I was so upset at different things that happened during my marriage that I just started praying. I was like, God, what is this? Why am I so upset? Why am I this upset, I should say, right? And so when I began to pray, this book came to me. I just started writing, and it was very therapeutic to me. And before I knew it, I had 96 pages written.
Wow.
And I didn't know that that was in me, right? But I needed to get some things off of my chest, off of my heart, that I didn't realize were there, that were harming me, that were keeping me from where I needed to go and be successful and have a healthy relationship with my husband at the time.
Wow, Imani. Yeah, that's a lot. And I know you jumped right in it. And for our listeners, I think a little bit of your backstory would be helpful, because if I understood correctly, you jumped right into the second marriage and then you felt the triggers from the first one. So if you just want to give just a light summary about your first marriage and, the children who came from that marriage.
Sure. I got married when I was 18 years old. Grandma say you don't know yourself when you're 18, right? That's not cliche. I really didn't know who I was, but I embarked up on this journey to be married at 18, at 5 months pregnant with my son. And the immediate response to me being married to him was kind of like, oh, you don't need to go without me. Can I go with you always? And so that's kind of how it started, the isolation. And then it turned into the first time he ever put his hands on me, he choked me. And so when he choked me, I thought that day I was going to die for sure. I said, God, I don't want to die like this. And it proceeded. I was with this man for 6.5 years. We have 3 beautiful children. And then I was able to leave. One day I said, Imani, enough is enough and it's time to go. So I packed up my things, my children's things, and I got in the car and I drove and I left.
Wow. And that took a lot of courage. I mean, if I'm doing my math right, you're like 24 with 3 children.
22.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Wow. With 3 children and decided to leave. And with that, I mean, I know it wasn't just one day you decided to leave.
Oh, no. I left him twice. I left him twice before with the second baby. So at the beginning of my pregnancy, I left him with the second baby because it was just becoming too overwhelming. I would say I had the courage to leave, but I didn't want my marriage to end, if that makes any sense. I took my vows very serious. And so I'm like, if he just gets some help, right? If he just gets some help, he'll be okay. And I'm enough, right? I'm enough for you to want to change for, right? That was my logic and my thought process. And that was not it. So I left him twice before I officially left the third time. He did not come back.
So, Imani, at your darkest hour, what gave you the strength to believe that you could get to the other side of this struggle?
My children. My children have been my biggest source of strength. God definitely foremost, right? But I feel like he used my children to get me over because he was enough for sure, but it was like he needed a tool, he needed a vessel to help me get over those hard times. And in my darkest hour, my children definitely encouraged me to want to get out of a situation that was not good for either of us, and to overcome those triggers and those things that were keeping us from our happiness, because we were all unhappy. We all had trauma. And so we had to get over our trauma together. And so they were the driving force in how can I fix us? What can I do to give us joy? Why are we so in turmoil, right? So they were definitely my driving force.
Right. Wow. And I just want to, again, thank you for sharing your story. And we will definitely make sure that we provide resources for anyone who may be in similar situations. And if this content is a little too heavy, we definitely understand and want to make sure that, again, we provide support, because this is not a light topic. And with that, Imani, obviously reflecting back, and we'll get into, more of the spiritual and the therapeutic things that have supported you. But now reflecting back to your 18-year-old self, do you feel that there was red flags or anything that...
Oh, a lot.
Okay. Right. Okay. So again, for other women who may be in similar situations or trying to figure out if this is really them or me, because what I heard you say, you were looking to change or trying to make it better, to hope that this situation would change. So what red flags would you say were there that maybe were not as visible during that time to you?
The first red flag I would definitely say was his over need for me emotionally. An example would be, just stay with me. You don't have to go to your family's house as often. Why do you have to go so often? Hang out with me instead of going, with my friends. And then it turned into, I never saw my friends anymore. I never saw my family as much as I normally would see my family, because it had to be about him, being emotionally codependent on, right? So he used me as emotional support too much. When you are in a relationship with someone, they should be whole. And so that's a clear red flag. If you're not whole without me, you cannot function without me, that's a red flag. Isolation is a red flag. Manipulating your thoughts. So you didn't really want to do it, but you ended up doing it anyway because they made you feel bad because you wanted to do it. Right. That's a red flag. And those are things that I, at 18, could not possibly have identified with, right? Because I have no idea what that looks like. But now I do. But then definitely had no clue. But those were red flags.
And with that, what tips would you offer to women who may be experiencing domestic violence or
Run!
Okay. 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 Got it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're right here with
Run.
you. Okay.
Girl, run. Run as fast as you can and don't think about it. Don't hesitate. Don't think he's going to change. She's going to change, because domestic violence goes both ways. The verbal abuse, if they feel comfortable verbally abusing you once, they will more than likely do it again. If they feel comfortable putting their hands on you once, they're probably going to do it again. And I will say this, I did not realize until coming out of this situation that I could have died. And so because I didn't realize that I could have possibly died, I could have gotten killed. Now it's like, wow, right? And so I would say get out as safe as possible with whatever you can hold in your hands. Don't worry about the furniture. Don't worry about the dishes. Don't worry about the sheets and the towels. Just go, because there's no price on your peace and you can't get your life back. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Did you, Imani, did you worry about wanting to get to a co-parenting place with your ex? Was that like a concern or something that held you back, where like, oh, I don't want to take him away from his children?
So initially, when all of this started, because we were together for 6.5 years. So when this first started, I did feel like I didn't want my family to be broken up. And then my son started he started to display some behaviors, right? And so I began to prioritize, and getting out was a priority, because my son started fighting. He started biting. And this was preschool, right? He started showing signs of aggression really early. And I'm like, what is going on? Well, his father's aggressive, right? And so he's been abusive towards me. And so now my child is a reflection of what we're going through at home. And so then I had to prioritize what's more important, us having a two-parent home with our kids, or me getting out and saving my children. Co-parenting wasn't really a thought. It was at this point safety more than anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
And Imani, you talk about therapy and how it was basically introduced to you and maybe not the way that most people are introduced to therapy. So can you talk to us about how that worked for you and the benefits?
You want to go from how I got introduced to it, or are you okay? So we had an open case of child services because my ex-husband actually abused my children as well. And so we went to court and the court ordered me to take my children to therapy. And so when I took my daughter, I had to be in the same room with her because she was like under 10 or something. So we sat there together and my daughter expressed some of her emotions and I really took to her therapist. The court case, closed. And so I really liked her. So I went back and I sat on her couch and she was able to, I always say she was able to unscramble my brain, right? When you go through trauma, when you go through different things in your life, you feel so bombarded that your thoughts aren't always complete before you go into another one. She was able to help me process my thoughts and reorganize and refocus on what's really important in life. That was the benefit of going to therapy, being able to sit in a judgment-free zone, right? And be able to talk about whatever I was feeling. And she was able to get me to refocus on me and what I needed to do for me.
Got it. And then my one last question before Coach Kaya chime in. So take us back to that day, the day that you left. Mm-hmm. What did it look like? Like walk, because some people need these tips, to leave. So take us back to that day where you're like, I'm out, this is over.
Mm-hmm. I got up that morning, it was about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and I went to the laundromat, washed everybody's clothes, and I just start praying. Kids, I'm in the laundromat just praying. I'm like, God, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Just give me the strength to leave, to walk away and to never, ever, ever come back. And as I'm folding laundry, I'm just praying the entire time. So I fold everything up and I get home. I take all of his stuff out, put it on the couch. He's like, what are you doing? I'm putting my clothes in the car. Where are you going? I'm leaving. And he was just like shocked. Because this for him was like out of the blue. He didn't fight. He didn't put his hands on me. He didn't talk to me crazy. And I put the kids in the car. And I got in the car and I drove away. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I can feel, that your heart must have been beating so fast because you just never know what this person is going to do. But the fact that you prayed, I can feel like the covering was over you. Mm-hmm. Like you prayed first before you did anything else.
Yes. And to be really honest with you, I didn't know how he was going to react, right? This wasn't my first time leaving. This was my third time leaving. So I didn't know if he was going to try to chase me, harm me, any of those things. But at this point, it was like do or die. I have to do this because I can't take this anymore. I can't take the verbal abuse. I can't take the physical abuse. I can't take the lying, the cheating. I can't take no more. I'm done. I can't take it anymore. And it was more so like I didn't care. I didn't care what was going to happen. I was just going to deal with it, right? But thank God he didn't. He was so stunned that he couldn't even get himself together. Yeah. So very grateful. I got in the car. The kids got in the car. We were safe. And I cried because I was afraid. I was completely afraid. I was like, you know what? But I have to take this chance because if not, I don't know if I'm ever going to leave if I don't leave today.
Right. Right.
So it was worth the risk. It was worth the the dash. That's what we were just gonna hurry up and get out of here before he starts getting emotional and tripping. But it was kind of like it's time.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about support systems because you're talking about therapy, you talked about court. And I know we also talked about, I'm sure it's in your book, about the support systems of the schools, your children being school age. So can you just tell our listeners a little bit about how the schools supported and how you were open, and not afraid to share your story? Yeah.
I call them my angels on earth, right? I've had a few of them in my lifetime. And when I embarked upon this journey to leave my husband, I had to be transparent because my son literally was fighting at school and he kept getting in trouble. And it was really hard for him to transition from one subject to the next subject without getting in trouble. And so I had to sit down with the principal and the office attendant, and I had to let them know, like, so here's the thing. And they were like shocked because they met us as a couple, right? And so they were like, not him. And I was like, yeah, him. I called him a sheep in wolf's clothing, right? And so I told them, like, hey, so this is what's going on. The kids are going through this with us, and I don't know what's going to happen. And they were like, we got you, don't worry. And sure enough, a few years later, we were sharing custody, and I lost custody of my children at a brief moment. And the principal was like, I called her that morning. I said, some things happened. I don't know what's going on. The child services is saying I did this and I didn't. I'm being accused of something I didn't do. And she was like, I got you. The kids came to school. She gave them extra snacks, a uniform. Like, it was just, I was so grateful for that moment, even though I was devastated completely, right? I was happy that people actually stood in my corner and stood with my children. And to this day, we still talk. My kids' old principal, she came to my book opening. She's like, our family. She's our family. So we have definitely been through some things, but it's better to be transparent than to hide. And the reason why, because you never know, someone will help you. You will be surprised how, we're so judgmental as a society. We're so judgmental. And so we look at people and we're like, oh, that kid's bad, and it's probably the mom's fault, right? And that's because the mom may not have opened up and said, hey, this is what I'm going through. My kid's not bad, but we're having some problems at home. And so I found it to be imperative to be transparent because I needed them to help my kid. I had to go to work. I had to leave my kid at school with you for 6 hours. So I think you should know that this is what's happening right now versus you trying to figure out how to communicate with my child or deal with my child and his behaviors. So that was one of the main reasons why I was so adamant about telling them the truth and what was going on with us.
Yeah. Thank you, Imani.
I have chills. I mean, you're right. It's almost like you were already isolated from your family, and then you had to create this new family to help support your children so that you can move forward. And that's not easy. I'm just so glad that you had that level of support and that you had a safe place to leave your children while you tried to, rebuild your life. That's a lot.
Hello, boss ladies and our supportive listening family. We hope you enjoyed part 1 of Overcoming Unhealthy Relationships with boss lady author Imani Hood-McDonald. We hope that you will tune in again for part 2 of this episode. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your support.
If you haven't already done so, please follow us on Spotify and iHeartRadio.
And you'll be notified whenever we post a new Boss Lady Conversation episode.
You are who you say you are.
You're destined for great things. Your life matters each and every day.
Now go get your blessings, boss ladies.